From TLDR News, this is Too Long Didn't Read. Hello and welcome to Too Long Didn't Read. I'm Jack, and with me today are Zac.
Hello.
And Ben.
Hello.
And everyone's in the office today. It's nice.
Yeah.
5 people in the office.
Yeah, I mean, 3 people on mic, but even still, just know there's more bodies around us. There's people about.
Yeah, weird already.
Yeah.
It's already
Let's
weird.
keep going.
So, I think we've got a bit of a special episode planned, don't we, Ben?
I mean, I've got topics that all have happened to line up to be about Dominic Cummings, but I'm not going to be in this one for too long, so I'm not sure that you two are going to.
You're being
continue
replaced.
The theme once I
No,
leave.
we've got to have a title for the episode, so the Dominic Cummings special is what it's going to be.
Yeah. Well, actually, I mean,
There must be some pun. Like
yeah.
a come on Cummings.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
pretty good.
that's-
Or
yeah,
a
something
bit.
like that. Yeah.
Weird,
You got to be
eh?
careful with
Bit
the spelling.
frisky,
Yeah.
But yeah.
Anyway, we'll do a Cummings
Okay,
special.
let's do a Cummings special. Do you want to just give us some context, Ben? Who is Dominic Cummings? Why are we talking about him today?
Yeah, well, there's been a few things since we recorded the last one a couple of weeks ago, and it feels an age away since this happened. But there's been a couple of things. There was one thing that happened with the number 10 press briefing, and then a few days ago, Zac was very quick to point out that it is only speculation currently, but that Dominic Cummings might have had a hand somewhere in these I don't know if it's not a scandal, is it? How would you describe
No,
what happened
just
on Friday?
An interesting reshuffle,
interesting
including
reshuffle.
some pretty big names and
Yes.
some pretty big clauses put on deals.
So he's a sort of chief advisor to Boris Johnson, and was previously very influential in the 2016 EU referendum.
Yeah.
He used.
He was the chief strategist for Vote Leave.
He was, yes.
Was it
And
Vote Leave or Leave.eu?
Vote Leave.
Vote Leave. We said that wrong last time we did this. So
Did we?
no,
Was
me
it-
and Ben did.
they-
You idiot.
and he did, was played by Benedict Cumberbatch in that Channel 4.
Whatever it's called. What was it called?
Yes. Can't remember now.
Someone search it out. What was it called?
Uncivil
Yeah,
War.
Uncivil
Brexit,
War.
the Uncivil War.
We
that's
have
the one,
Nelson
yes.
as our
Nelson's in the corner as a
resident
fact checker.
expert.
Yes,
Just-
yes, exactly.
Really should be doing the podcast.
I like that we have
Yeah.
a fact checker now. Though. It's fun.
Yeah. Zac's already trying to. He's using this as like somebody else can go on the pod. Let's get rid of Ben.
Let's get
He's
rid of
already
Ben.
toppling him.
We can have a nice, direct.
Are you
coherent
recreating
podcast.
Are you recreating the sacking on Friday? You're going to sit in the corner
I am
manipulating me
Cummings.
to
You're
leave.
Javid.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You are leaving soon,
I
to be
am.
fair.
Okay.
Yeah, so let's.
I am.
Someone explain the whole Javid thing.
Are we starting with Javid? That's the first controversy you want to do?
Well, I think the
Let's
journalism.
do the
one
journalism
happened-
first.
Yeah,
Yeah,
journalism
everyone's
happened
got
first.
Fine, yeah.
Yeah. So a few weeks ago, there's a Downing Street press. What's it called?
Press briefing.
Yeah,
Press
press
briefing,
briefing. Yes. So there's a press briefing number 10, and Boris Johnson selected some of the journalists to turn up, and he decided not to allow some others in. Some have either fairly or unfairly tried to compare this with Trump in the US.
Mm-hmm.
The other journalists, I know Koonsberg was one of them, and I think possibly the Independent. Not too sure.
Yeah.
They decided not to attend. In protest at the decision. So that's what happened.
I was going to say there was a really nice comparison. I rarely plug this, but the Daily Mail ran an article by John Humphreys.
Yeah.
Who's a bit of a big dog in
Yes.
British political journalism,
Mm.
and he was.
Is that his title? Big dog.
Yeah,
in
that's what it
political
says at the top of the
journalism.
article.
Yeah,
Self-described
It's on his CV,
as.
isn't it?
Yeah. His LinkedIn.
The big dog.
Yeah.
And he was talking about. He was giving a comparison to Watergate and how Nixon's tactic of essentially banning journalists massively backfired because you just end up with hypercritical media.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe a good long-term decision, maybe not. Who
Maybe
knows?
not.
No. So there was that decision.
Cummings knows. That's who knows.
Yeah.
He knows.
He knows.
Yeah. And then
It's like the prorogation thing. We all thought it was a bad choice. Turns out he won.
Yeah, it did work out in the end, I guess.
Oh.
But that's great. We're going back too far now. We can't go back to
Fine,
prorogation.
True.
that wasn't that long ago, but yes.
It was too long ago.
And then
In
Zac, do you want to
political
talk about what happened on Friday? About with
Which-
the
reshuffle.
The reshuffle,
I
yeah.
can give you a rundown. Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. So basically, we knew there was a reshuffle coming.
Yeah.
Johnson went to Sajid Javid, who's the Chancellor, and said, how do you feel about essentially merging our advisors?
Yeah.
And more generally merging number 11, which is the Treasury, and
Yeah.
number 10 into one sort of big mega unit.
Mhm.
Javid said, no, I don't like that. It just would turn me into a sort of Chancellor in name only.
Yeah.
And he got sacked for it.
Yeah.
And then they
Well,
just
he technically turned down the offer, didn't he?
Yeah, he technically
he
stood
turned down the
down.
offer and then resigned
Yes.
technically,
Yeah.
but he didn't really.
No,
He got
yeah.
sacked.
Yeah,
I mean, it is,
that was
it
a
is-
sacking in
yeah.
name only. No,
It's about-
resignation in name only.
Yeah, and then they put in one of the most boring politicians in the world, Rishi Sunak. He
Not
is
a fan?
so wooden.
Yeah.
I'm actually slightly annoyed because I had an argument with someone a while ago who was singing Rishi Sunak's praises, and I asked him why he was singing his praises, and he
Yeah.
did the whole like, oh, he went to Goldman, like he must be a genius.
Yeah.
And, like, that's just a crap way of evaluating politicians. Like there are loads of politicians with great banking CVs who are
Sure.
completely whack politicians.
Yeah.
And I was like, Rishi Sunak really should not do well. And now look at it, Rishi Sunak's the second most powerful man in
Well,
Britain.
he was in the. I remember in the election campaign, he stood in, didn't he?
He
Quite a lot
did.
for Boris Johnson.
He did them
During the debate,
He,
during
got,
the
he
ITV
basically got the
debate.
hospital passes because everyone just knew he was rubbish and that it doesn't really matter. And he's.
But does that alludes to his
Suddenly his loyalty.
his loyalty
He
to
also
Johnson?
wrote a piece. Didn't you see this guy? See this? So
No.
there was a piece written, I think, in the Times during the leadership challenge by 3 Conservative MPs who are now all ministers. It's Robert, who's the new housing minister? Robert Nelson.
That's a bit niche.
Is he the new housing minister?
You said it with confidence, I believe it.
He said Buckland with confidence. Anyway, basically, it was written by Rishi Sunak, someone else, and Robert something, who's the new housing minister, I think. And all of them got promotions. And it was basically the title was something like Boris Johnson is the only one who can save us.
Yeah.
So
Always been a fan.
He's always been a big Boris fan, and
Yeah.
And
it's-
it looks
yeah.
like, I mean, he's replacing Javid with someone else because Javid wouldn't allow him to merge the
Wouldn't bend
team.
over, yeah.
So he wants someone who's loyal to a T, which it certainly appears that Sunak fits that definition.
Sunak, quite like Javid.
Yeah.
History of Goldman.
Yeah.
And then he started his own hedge fundy thing. And you look at that and it sounds quite impressive. And then sorry, Rishi, if you're listening to this.
He is. He's on
marry...
Patreon, so don't insult him too much. He's a diamond tier man.
He married like the daughter of some Indian bajillionaire.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean. A career in finance.
If I had a
marrying
bajillion pounds,
yeah.
I could start an investment firm too.
Yeah, let me be your hedge fund.
He might be good at it.
He might be
good great. I've
And
not looked
that's
into
sort of by the by. I
Yeah.
think the reason I haven't really ever rated him is because he's a particularly wooden media performer.
Yeah.
And he was often given the hospital pass.
I was going to say, to be fair, that's probably influenced by the fact that he was supposed to be representing the Prime Minister, and
True.
obviously
But he
just
also
by
got
virtue of him
the early
being there.
morning Brexit interviews. So the early morning ones that no other Conservative politician would take.
Yeah.
The ones where you just go on and be like, "What is your Brexit policy?" And some poor
I'm
bloke
sure he
had
got
to go,
quite a big one, didn't
"Get
he?
Brexit done, get Brexit done." Huh?
There was this quite long piece that was put on BBC News the other day, which was to do with just Dominic Cummings and
Sure.
his. So I was reading that on the train in, and there seemed to be like quite a debate about how much power he actually has within Number 10.
That's a good video topic, to be fair.
It is, yeah.
It's quite hard to tell
Um,
though. You can't really say much about it.
Yeah,
he
but
was
it's
saying-
great to speculate.
It's
People
great
would
to
love that.
speculate.
Who
Come
really is
on,
Dominic
Jack,
Cummings?
stick to the
Who-
modus operandi.
Who
None
really
of
is
this
Dominic
nonsense.
Cummings with a thumbnail with him with like some smoke effects over him to make him look shady?
You are really the master of clickbait, aren't you, Jack?
You are the-
Our videos are not that clickbaity, I wouldn't say.
Okay.
Let's not get onto this topic because this is us just basically defending our own videos.
Okay,
You know,
yeah.
Well, no, this is
In the
Jack's
middle-
defense.
Jack is
Yeah.
saying animation.
I feel like we should all be
Um,
defending me, but
Yeah, no. I'm on board. I'm loyal. Don't
okay,
sack me.
good. You don't get Richie.
Yeah. But no, there was something I saw
Rashid.
that they were saying about HS2 and the fact that Dominic Cummings is actually opposed to that. And
Well,
he
he
didn't.
called it. Okay, so he didn't.
Yes.
He's not necessarily opposed to it, but he called it something like a disaster zone.
Yeah, well, he was
Which-
saying.
The
No.
PR of it certainly has been so
Yeah,
far.
yeah,
You can
but
see
that-
why.
Yeah, of course, that's how they're going to spin it.
Well,
But I think his point was
yeah.
more that the contracting structure was not done well.
Yeah.
Well, there was another point that he made as well, which is to do with the. I mean, the article made it seem like he wants to try and be the champion of the underprivileged. That's one of the things that he's
Yeah.
supposedly trying to do himself. And probably in addition to this, his criticism of HS2 was that it was connecting wealthy cities and it
Mhm.
was bypassing the towns that actually needed the funding. Was one of his criticisms. So it's connecting.
It's hard to do a high-speed railway line that
Yeah,
stops in a load of
Between-
places.
But I don't think his point was.
He's got like a massive hub.
It's it's connecting London to like some hamlet outside
Yeah.
Manchester.
Yeah. Tweed on Berwick, just some generic like English town.
Yeah.
No, but he's not. I don't think his argument was that HS2 should connect to villages.
Okay.
I think it was the
That would be a
funding
weirder
that's going
strategy.
into HS2 should be used elsewhere.
Yeah, I
is
get that.
probably more likely his argument.
And also, they had the issues between him and Javid with Javid's early press conference where he like said support for HS2 early.
It's
That
quite
annoyed
there was a
everyone.
nice,
There was like ongoing beef there.
yeah, and I think his thing is he hates ministers leaking to the press.
Yeah.
But it's such a massive hypocrite because the only people the press talk about is Dominic Cummings.
Yeah,
Like,
very
he
much.
should really
so.
sack himself.
Yeah.
If he really doesn't want people talking about like individual ministers, get rid of yourself.
Yeah. And then the other one was that really weird doorstep interview of his with, was it PJ Masks?
Yeah, so
Mm.
he's just.
What was
People
that?
should watch that because it's just a bizarre
It
interview.
Yeah.
was bizarre, really
I
bizarre.
want to know where he lives as well, so we can do one of those
Who,
interviews.
Cummings?
It's definitely somewhere in West London.
We
I
could
can
like
tell.
street view it probably.
Yeah, I've had.
It might take a while, but it's someone's full-time job to street view it until we find.
Yeah, it was a weird interview.
Yeah,
but
it
I think
was.
he's just living up to his whole "I'm a secret weird funky
think?
genius" thing. Yeah, all he just didn't want to answer a question.
Which is also fair enough.
It
Yeah.
was just one of those things where, like, obviously, whoever got it was like, "Oh, this is great. We can hog the news cycle for a little bit."
Yeah.
With a weirdo saying PJ Masks
Yeah.
and.
I honestly just didn't understand. I mean, I really want to say something of substance about it, but there's really not
You
much that I
can't.
can
It was
think.
deliberate nonsense.
Yeah.
I mean,
But it's strange that politics has now got to, like, the chief
Deliberate
advisor
nonsense.
to the Prime Minister's engaging with deliberate nonsense. It's a bit...
I mean, you could argue the Prime Minister does that quite a lot too. So
But
Also, he's just trying to avoid a
irrespective of that,
question.
at least he talks about politics. Like, at least what
Yeah,
he's done.
true.
He's not coming out with vague children's cartoon references when asked about politics. And this is someone with quite significant influence within that administration. I mean, there's debates as to whether how much influence he actually has, but the fact that he supposedly had a hand in the effective sacking of the Chancellor is of at least significant note. It's a really weird few weeks with him, and it's a bit, I don't know. That's why I wanted to talk about this a bit more. It's just a bit strange.
it is a bit strange.
It's a bit. It's
Yes,
a bit.
it is. Yeah.
Is it a bit strange?
Is this? Yeah, I remember when we were on the live stream, people calling me out for saying things like that. What did they say I always started with?
I don't know.
You're just muttering. You're just sort
Yeah.
of like blabbering on. Saying
It's
Well,
quite-
at least
in
I'm
a
not
live
talking about
stream.
cartoon references. That's the main.
That
At
is
least I'm
true.
talking about politics.
Anything else Cummings based you want to talk
I
about?
think we should talk about Cummings more generally, though.
Yeah.
We can do in a minute, but Ben's got to leave.
Oh,
so
yeah,
No,
Ben.
they were the
I
three
meant
main
specifically,
ones.
does Ben have any Cummings points he wants to make?
Any
more
I mean, I'm
bombshells?
happy to talk about him generally because, as I said, I've just been reading about what he's been up to and how he's got where he is and all that sort of stuff. So I'm happy to talk about him generally.
Do you have time?
I have 5 minutes,
Okay,
and then
cool.
I'm sure I can have someone take over.
Perfect.
Yes.
Go for it.
I just want to say about the whole Cummings thing. There are a couple of massive hypocrisies here.
Yeah.
One is the media thing, the fact that he apparently hates ministers who have any media presence yet.
Yeah.
The second thing is that his blog is constantly talking about
Yeah.
decentralizing power.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he has just merged the Cabinet Office, number 10, and number 11
Yeah,
into
true,
one
actually.
massive central machine.
Mm.
So I don't know how. I think he's getting away with a lot of stuff because everyone assumes there's some sort of like dark mastermind plan here. But he's just not being consistent with the stuff he writes in his blog, or at least I'm not seeing it. Maybe I'm missing something.
The blog is a fascinating
The
one.
blog's weird. I was reading this thing this morning about him, and apparently he had something to do, like, he's talking about genetics in there and stuff, and like it's just very strange
quite a
some of
lot
the
of his
stuff
blog.
he discusses. Also, there was that thing that happened a couple of months ago, I think now, where he's talking about people emailing him on his personal email about jobs in number 10,
Yeah.
and he wanted deliberately. Did he say the word weirdos? Maybe.
Yeah, it was a weird job advert. There was a lot of weird, but that's one of the things that he's been on about the whole time. His main thing is that essentially, interdisciplinary strategies are very effective. So, like, if you're trying to find a breakthrough in economics, drawing on sort of the knowledge of physics and science, and all that sort of bullshit is really important. And his whole thing is that currently, I think this is completely fair enough. Currently, politics is full of a very specific type of person.
Yeah.
Sort of weird PPEists. And,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry,
and
Nelson.
there should be more. There should essentially be more scientists and sort of entrepreneurs in there.
Yeah.
Or more data capable people.
But
Which is a fair point.
Which is a case you
no,
can
but
easily make, yeah.
That
Totally agree with
point's
him.
a fair point, but getting them in there by just saying, email my personal email and we'll see what we can do. It's like,
Is his
that's
personal
not-
email available?
he said something that I'm sure
Yeah,
there was a big scandal.
And it
that he
turned
put
out he
his-
wasn't even. He couldn't even hire. Like, there are obviously hiring
yeah,
processes
I was
in
gonna
number
say,
10. You
yeah.
can't just pick people up. Although he has actually contracted out some very controversial people. Do you see? He contracted out someone called something like Alexander Sabitsky or something like that. Some YouTube, alt-right sort of dude.
Could we be the next? If we go more right wing, am I going to get like a little
I mean, I could just stay where I am
True.
politically
Yeah.
and end up there.
You get a DM on LinkedIn or whatever,
Yes,
if you call
get
it a DM
involved.
on LinkedIn, a message.
Or maybe just straight up on YouTube.
Maybe, I mean, I wouldn't pass it on.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
But he, what were we saying about that? Yeah, he obviously can't hire. Like,
Yeah.
there are-
That's not his job.
No, there are.
There's
obviously not.
process there.
We were talking about, he's contracted out. That's a very controversial bloke who I can't remember what he works, what he does. There's an article in The Guardian about it, but he's one of those classic guys who says stuff about like how black people have low IQs.
Yes.
And, like wants everyone to take like weird drugs that mean we have to sleep and.
Yeah, there was an article I
Wait, so
literally.
he contacted him.
He contracted.
Right.
So he's
an advisor, yeah.
in some sort of capacity for Number 10.
There's an article
There's
that.
quite a lot of people.
What?
There's an article I literally just saw that was.
Someone gets
People
his name
around Johnson are saying that he's refusing to comment on whether he agrees with his views on those things.
He's
I mean,
not even saying that he.
Let's assume
I
that
mean,
that's
yeah.
more like structural. It's not got to him. He's not allowed to comment. Than Johnson
Yeah.
does agree.
No,
I'm not
obviously,
accusing him
but
of that.
that's,
But it's weird that was
they'd
even a
allow
response.
someone with.
All right, I've got
Yeah.
his name.
Like that. That's.
Andrew Sabitsky. Andrew Sabitsky is his name. But it's sort of. I'm sure Cummings' rationale would be something like, "Oh, unsavory views, but maybe a good data scientist or whatever he wants."
Yeah.
So something like that.
Yeah, the top of this article, Boris Johnson's spokesman has refused to say whether the Prime Minister thinks black people have lower IQs on average or if he agrees with eugenics.
No, but to be fair, that is a very Guardian article. Like that's a Guardian.
That doesn't mean
headline.
yes.
Yeah, exactly. He's obviously hired someone he hasn't forensically checked out all of their opinions.
I don't think you
now.
have to be that forensic to notice eugenics and black people are stupid. Like that's pretty.
That's true.
That's pretty
actually.
base level.
But then again, Johnson, you
True.
can't imagine him doing much checking of his.
You'd
like,
hope someone is,
subcontracting
though.
employees. Yeah. Well,
Though I guess that's Cummings.
that's
like,
coming,
yeah.
isn't it? So there we
And
go.
if he's not doing it,
Yeah. So
I hadn't seen anything about that. That's wow. Okay.
Yeah,
Just learned something new.
you do.
Yeah.
And there might be a statement by the time we get home. Who knows?
I think now's probably the time to sub in.
Are you out?
Yeah, exactly.
Bye,
so
Ben.
I'll leave you to sort this.
A podcast's first.
Yes. So Nelson, everybody.
Oh,
That's
that
it.
was
that was
weak.
that was quite cute in a way, though.
I guess. Nelson's coming in. Ben is leaving.
Thank you very much, Ben.
Thanks, Ben.
Should we give him a little clap?
Feels like we're like Steve Wright in the afternoon. Where were we?
We were at Nelson.
Hello.
Oh, we haven't actually introduced. Oh, we haven't actually introduced you, have we?
Nope.
Nelson's one of our writers. He's been with us for approaching a year now.
Yep, it would be March doing a year.
Do you know the date so we can get you a cake?
I didn't get a
Not
fucking
exactly.
You don't deserve a cake.
It was just like the month of March. It wasn't the precise date.
You can buy your own cake.
cake. Just fuck off. Buy me a cake.
Okay, cool. So
Right.
Nelson's one of our lead writers. He knows what he's talking about.
He does know
more
what he's
than
talking
probably
about. Definitely
more than
Ben.
me,
Definitely
and
more than Ben.
probably more than Ben too.
And let's not be. I mean, Ben's busy. He's got stuff to do. but
Ben's good on history.
he's good on broad
Theory.
strokes. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Nelson. What do you think of Cummings?
Also, just to defend Ben, he's also really good at furiously googling articles during the podcast to find
You
opinions.
mean he's really good at having tabs up?
Yeah.
He's a multi-tab man.
He's got a great processor on his PC. He was telling us the other day he's bought like a new gaming PC.
I'm so
He's not playing
glad.
any games on that. It's just the Chrome tabs.
We've got to the point we can just roast Ben. I'm so glad we finally like all mates. And we can be like, oh, because when we first started, like it's a bit too professional, and you can't be like, he's got tabs up.
No.
You've got to wait. And
Mad
now we're at that
tabs.
point where you can be like, he's got tabs up.
Just
What a wanker.
tabs.
Anyway, Nelson, what do you think of Cummings?
Well, he's a weird guy for a weird prime minister. It's like he's come into government to shake it up, and obviously we've seen that he can't shake it up as much as he wants to. But he is making progress. He wanted to merge some of the departments together,
Yeah.
and whilst he's not doing that in full, he's merging the cabinet office.
Some of the most important parts. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he is pushing forward with an agenda. It's just which agenda we don't know.
Yeah, exactly. That's the question. Like, what is the agenda here? I don't think it's that consistent.
No, because even the prorogation bit that we talked about, what was his plan? Was his plan to go to court to lose and then to have that fiasco to push it through, or was his plan to win?
Well, I don't. I think his plan was actually that either outcome was fine at that
Yeah.
point. It was just the fact that
Just
his
needed to do
attempted
it.
prorogation meant that he looked like he'd really pushed for it. But yeah, no, I agree. I'm not sure what his master plan is, and you read a lot of his blog, and I think we have a video coming out on his blog.
We do. Probably promote this podcast in it.
Yeah, we
Might as well.
absolutely can do.
We've not promoted the podcast in a while.
Yeah, why don't we?
This is a bit in the weeds, talking about behind the scenes. But
But we have. But reading his blog, I think he's finding that essentially he's got some lovely abstract ideas. But I think he's finding out how difficult it is to apply abstract ideas to a system that has been in place and ever complicating for however many generations.
Yeah.
Like the British political system and the system of government, it's been going on and sort of like branching off in different directions for such a long time, disentangling it all and then sort of rebuilding it in the image of whatever you want.
But that's like one of the core reasons people don't push for a written constitution as much as you might expect. It's because it's complicated, because it's got all these systems. It's meant to be that
it's a
difficult.
delicate balance.
You don't want it to be that every prime minister then suddenly everything gets thrown up in the air and you got to start again.
Yeah, but he has got 3.5 years to push forward his agenda.
He's doing a good job so far.
Yeah,
to be fair. You've got to give him that.
Longer, hasn't it?
Yeah, longer than
4.5 years.
4.5 years.
Not even 4.5, 4 3/4, pretty much.
4 3/4
He's got ages. Don't downplay his time.
Do we actually know when he's going to leave?
Well, we're assuming at the end, like 4 3/4 until the end of Johnson's current administration.
Yeah, because if I recall, he has an operation. He keeps pushing back.
Yeah, I think this is bullshit.
Yeah.
I think he's had his operation.
He's got an operation? No, I didn't know about this.
Yeah. So he said he had
Medical or...
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, it's a medical operation
psychological.
that was scheduled for
October.
October. Then he pushed it back. And
what for? Do we know?
No,
but he said he was so sure he'd have Brexit done that he could just push it back by October. Or was it January? It was either October or January. Anyway, it was one of the deadlines.
He should have had it at like
it'll be in a blog post eventually.
February 1st, like really stuck to his deadline and be like, I'm going to be done by then.
Yeah, but I think that's what he did, and then
he'd push it back in.
Yeah.
I don't, or maybe it was January.
Or maybe it's definitely not happened, has it? It's not like it was like a minor surgery and he's gone for like 10 minutes.
I don't think he's blogged about it yet.
I mean,
he probably will.
Yeah, he probably will. But as evil genius things go, having a blog, having a WordPress is
Yeah,
not your
not
classic
the coolest.
evil genius.
Is it a nice looking blog even?
Yeah, I like his blog. I actually also, it's quite an interesting thing to read. It's you know what I mean. He doesn't write poorly actually, and I think it's broad stroke enough because he's trying to combine all these. He likes referencing lots of different disciplines, and it means that obviously he can't be an in-depth expert in any of them.
Yeah,
which means that it's comprehensible. Like you know what I mean. You don't have to have a background in anything specific.
Yeah,
to
sure.
Really clock what he's going on about. But no, I don't think he has blogged about his thingy bob yet. His surgery. You read much of his blog?
No, not much, but I read his job thingy.
Oh, the job advert.
Yeah, job advert. And it's
Do
like,
you think about applying for that?
Yes and no. It's like you can't circumvent the government structures so much that they're not going to do a background check on you and then the civil service applications.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't just like hit up his Gmail and then go, I want a job. That's not how it works. But
I'd like to see them try though. That'd be fun.
Yeah,
but
I suppose it would be.
I think he just wanted to get that connection across, so then he could then put up an advert and then just like select the guy he had already selected and just put it up as a facade.
What do you mean? As in like
nice conspiracy theory. I like
Yeah,
that.
So like get people to contact him and then he'd give him advice how to circumvent the government civil service.
Oh,
things.
okay, I see what you mean. I think that's very possible actually. Yeah.
Because I recently applied for a civil service apprenticeship, and the tests are quite structured, so you could, if you had enough advice, circumvent them.
Yeah, it's very, very. The civil service application is something as convoluted as anything, but
would you expect anything less from the civil service?
Yeah,
let's be honest.
I think he does have fundamentally though. He does have a good point, which is about
getting different kind of people in.
Well, different kind of people, and also the sort of very insular nature of like politics and how it does really attract a very weird type of person.
Yeah,
and it's not even just MPs because obviously being an MP is
MPs are real weird. Yeah,
they are really weird. But it's also if you if you had any experience with sort of like politico types, they are also a bit weird.
Yeah,
like I don't really know. I don't want to start pinning people down.
It does. Every time you come back, it's like you overthought it.
I know. To try and mitigate for that sort of selection bias, then you have to have some structures in place. And the fact that the Vote Leave campaign was so successful, especially in how it managed data, really shows that politics somehow has been resistant to that sort of like new technological way of doing stuff, which it hasn't in every other facet of the world. In sort of like economics and your hedge fund management and I don't know, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
People have picked up big data
Yeah.
and started using them in a properly comprehensive way.
You wouldn't have a business that size not doing it.
No,
like if it was
no,
a government-sized business doing something else.
Or doing it completely shittily on
Yeah,
loads
exactly.
of different databases. Like I had a couple of mates that did some work for the NHS.
Yeah.
And they have all of their data split across like 6 completely different databases that were all
Just the fact you still have public medical paper medical records, I mean,
Yeah.
that is insane.
I know.
I didn't even really realise that until I was in hospital with my mum recently, and they got out her physical medical records, and obviously some of those are like, oh, I'm not going to tell you how my mum is, but like, oh, they're fairly old pieces of paper, and it was insane the fact they were like carting around this folder with her name on the front, and I was like, what is that?
It's like Windows XP. They're still running on Windows XP, and that's why they got that WannaCry ransomware. It's I read a story that I think the government's paying Microsoft millions of pounds to have continued support of Windows XP because it'd be so arduous to transfer over to Windows 7 and Windows 10. It's like, I don't remember the last time I used Windows XP.
It's so
been
ridiculous.
a really long time. Yeah.
I mean, maybe there must be some causal explanation for it. That's actually reminded me when I was talking about Dominic Cummings' hypocrisy thing.
Oh yeah, your point
My
number 3.
final my final qualm with Cummings.
Yeah, sure.
Is that I love the big abstract ideas. I mean, who doesn't love a good big abstract idea? But a lot of his whinging is about essentially incentive structures. So a lot of his whinging is about how in functioning systems is what he calls them. So he has this whole thing about how politics is a complex system. There are lots of complex systems both in nature and in mankind. So
I love that he's already pulling this back to nature.
Yes, bang, hit him.
Is there like a diagram of a complicated leaf or something attached?
No, seriously, it's
Fibonacci sequences.
It's like ants and shit going on.
Is there really?
Yeah, he loves ant colonies. But his point is that I think it's quite a good analogy, to be fair. So there are, for example, he thinks that peer-reviewed science is a good example of a complex system which essentially works because for a couple of reasons. So you have 2 main things, which is one, a system that is not worried about failing.
Yeah.
So you do, like as a scientist, you will try and publish some articles. They'll be peer reviewed and they'll be crap.
Yeah.
And also a system that has incentives that push in the right direction. So obviously you don't want to write a cheap scientific, like a falsified piece of scientific information.
Yeah.
It's all peer reviewed and you just blend up blowing in your face.
Yeah.
And like ant colonies is another one. And he loves
how do we tie ant colonies?
Yeah, we're talking about complex systems.
Yeah.
So the peer review science is a complex system whereby there are lots of individual agents and they all act according to the incentive structure given, so in their own interests. And the sort of emergent behavior of that system is that science progresses. Same thing with ants. Ants respond to sort of individual chemical scents, and they lay individual chemical scents in accordance with just whatever their biology dictates.
Yeah.
And from those sort of relatively unlinked individual behaviors, you get these massive macro behaviors of the system.
Okay.
Yeah? So like you get weird, like ants do weird stuff.
Yeah.
And
that's similar to economics with Adam Smith's Invisible Hand. By working,
exactly.
For your own self-interest, you help everyone.
So the emergent behavior of like the economic system, ideally, would be something like everyone's wealth increases, but that's not. It's maybe not as great. It's a good example, but maybe not as great an example because one of the other cool things about them is that you can't normally reduce the emergent behavior down to the behavior of the individual agents. If you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the ant thing.
They only work as a collective.
Yeah, if you watch one ant, you'd be like, what the hell is it doing? Yeah. But if you watch like all the ants together, you see there's a greater purpose at hand, and it's different from the action of the individual ant. Anyway, his point is that in politics, the incentive structure is crap, and that politicians don't have the same incentives as scientists, essentially, because you want to push like some shitty, half-finished plan as long as it's got a great name and the media will take it well, which is partly why he hates the media so much. And I obviously I completely see where he's coming from.
Sure,
like, it's so true.
What's his solution though? Does he have one?
This is my point.
That's
What's
the
his
problem.
solution?
Okay. But because that's the issue is peer reviewing scientists kind of makes sense because by the time you get through that process, a scientist is still a scientist.
Yeah.
But the odds are that by the time the law ends up coming into effect and affecting people and not working, that person's off doing something else by that point. They're like on the speakers circuit, or they're like working at some other big company.
You, Tony Blair.
Yeah. But he's clearly slightly a hypocrite because the "Get Brexit Done" slogan is in itself abstract. It's very open-ended. It's like if he wants to create an incentive structure with definite points. He shouldn't be sustaining that structure.
I agree that there is a sort of tension there, but I think what he'd say is that's his means to an end. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's his means to getting himself
Mm.
into politics, and then
Yeah.
bang, we're going for the. But I think that actually there is no easy solution
Yeah.
to that problem, and I think in a way, no matter how much you talk about complex systems and emergent
And ants.
behaviors and ants, you're fundamentally whinging about something pretty simple, which
Yeah.
is election cycles and
Yeah.
the fact that everyone has 5 years to show off their big shiny things and then pretend it wasn't their fault.
Yeah.
So, that was my mild qualm with Dominic Cummings.
I just can't stop thinking about him following around one ant now. Just like examining what one ant does.
Complex
I wanna
systems
find
are
an
really
ant.
quite cool. You're a complex system.
Is that a compliment or an
line?
insult?
You're a complex
Go
system.
on then,
baby.
finish that pickup line.
No, no,
How's that end?
As in,
Do
like,
you want to see our emergent behaviour?
That's pretty
is
good. That is
actually.
good.
That is really good. This is why we have Nelson instead of Ben.
You're lucky you won't listen this far into the podcast.
Yeah. No, because but essentially your brain is because the sort of the macro outputs of the brain
Yeah.
are essentially emergent behaviors or properties
Mm.
of the behavior of all your individual neurons.
Sure.
Obviously, if you watched an individual neuron, though, you'd have no idea what was
Yeah,
going
of course.
on.
I mean, parts of the brain we don't understand fully anyway.
Yeah,
So
exactly. So how does it all add up? And that's an emergent behavior. Arguably, let's just get this is getting boring and niche, but arguably,
we're so deep now.
Yeah.
So,
consciousness is a really great example of what's called a hard emergent behavior, which is one that can't be like when you do the ant thing, looking at an individual ant. It's obviously very difficult to predict sort of the behavior of the group, the emergent behavior. But hypothetically, if you knew everything about all the little ants, you probably
Yeah.
could predict the
Yeah.
emergent behavior. Whereas consciousness is one, so that's sort of soft emergence. Whereas hard emergence is when there is, even if you knew everything about the component parts, the sort of emergent behavior you couldn't predict it. So like consciousness is like
yeah.
Or
Yeah.
YouTube's algorithm.
Or YouTube's
There
algorithm. Yeah.
we go.
I mean, they don't understand
Yeah.
it. So
Satire.
how can you expect
I
us
like
to?
it. But no, that was my only qualm with Cummings. I think I think it's interesting to read, and I think more people should really read it.
Yeah, I feel like no one outside of political circles
No.
is, surely.
Given that Johnson's not a details man, given that he is the details to government,
Yeah, totally.
that more people should read it. I also it really really annoys me when you see any. I'm sounding like Cummings now, but any
Go on.
journalist's rundown of
Oh,
Cummings'
yeah.
blog, which is always just like.
Didn't you say we were about to release a video about this?
We are.
And ours is good, yeah?
It's brilliant.
Okay, fantastic.
It's
Any
it's
journalist
fair,
outside of
balanced,
this
and
room.
brilliant.
5 stars, The Guardian.
But they really are like his blog has something like 250,000 words in it.
Yeah.
You're gonna find something like the word eugenics.
Oh, I
in it or
see.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
and it's always just
Just
like,
Control F for controversial stuff.
I'm genuinely
Yeah.
so you think that, and then I saw a thing where someone like the Guardian was whinging about how many times the word Darwin appears, and he just said that the word Darwin appears like 63 times. It's like
What does that tell you?
you
Yeah.
just command.
So
You
what?
literally have just
Yeah.
command F. Like
And also, what's the...
yeah, what's the context?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
If it had been like he said the N word 63 times, like,
Yeah.
okay,
Oh, yeah.
cool, we get what that means, but like,
That's not great.
yeah, but like Darwin, what context?
Yeah.
What's he saying?
And also, he loves talking about ants.
Yeah, just type into
Yeah.
The Guardian, see how many times it comes up.
Yeah, exactly. How many times the
I love
Guardian
that.
talking about Darwin?
That's our latest story.
We could outdo them. That'd be
Yeah.
quite an interesting one to do. So do like hit pieces on the Guardian. Be like,
Control
the
F.
Guardian says the word black and IQ in the same article this many times. That'd be quite good. But yeah. So
Any other Cummings?
any other points on Cummings?
Not that I can think of.
We should go to his house though.
We should go.
Yeah.
Whose job is that?
I think
Find him.
he looks like he lives in West London.
Yeah, that looks posh.
You two
Yeah.
go around together for a
Me and
little walk.
Nelson. So that's another thing. He also we should go.
TLDR Explores.
Yeah.
That's a good vlog series. We could get 10 episodes out of that, and each one has a cliffhanger of like, oh, I think that's right around the corner. It never is. It's just like a random house until the
Or
last one.
It's just us getting to doors and politicians turning us away and being like, go away, we don't know who you are.
Yeah.
My final qualm with
Okay.
him. Final qualm.
How many qualms you got now?
Yeah,
This is
I
turning into
actually
Cut
would-
the Adler.
I'm not a massive fan of Cummings, but I'm also not. I don't hate him. I don't think he's the sort of evil genius that people have pitched him
Just
as.
went from liking to. Okay.
Yeah, he's alright. But and this is a bit of a personal thing, but
Mm.
it's quite easy to be the sort of evil genius type when you're, like he's. This is actually too personal. I think I'm just going to roast him here. but
No, go for it.
Well, he's like Rishi Sunak. He's married a bajillionaire.
Yeah.
he's got the luxury of sitting in there and writing a blog post about complex systems and all that sort of thing. Like, you know, I suppose I don't know. You see what I mean? I think that him shitting on all these politicos who do it as a full-time job is just slightly sort of ivory towery. But at the same time,
you love his blog.
If his ideas are correct objectively, the means by which he gets them, I shouldn't have a go at them. So yeah, fair enough. Anyway, I think that's Cummings. Exhausted.
What a Cummings special.
Yeah.
We never even came up with a good title for it.
No catchy title.
Anything from you, Nelson? Do you think of anyone we're talking about that?
Give me a few minutes and I'll probably come up with something.
Okay, cool.
I think Nelson, actually, you're a titles man. You know what I mean?
You're getting reassigned for titles department.
Yeah,
better than
titles
Jack.
department.
Yeah, true.
Anything else we got on the Discord? Anything interesting?
No, he was just someone asking what's TLDR's plans for the future of the company. Boring. We've discussed it so many times. Probably end that there then.